What is happening, my gurus? Thanks for tuning into another one of these videos. I do apologize for the lack of content over the last couple of weeks. It's been a bit of a busy one and there hasn't been too much else to cover outside of what we've been seeing with the war and what's coming out with the news. It's all pretty much stagnant on that end. We obviously did have a few other things that we covered in our last video, which was the interest rate hike and all of that jazz, which affected the market big time. And I do think that the market's already priced in any future hike rates as well. So one thing I just want to quickly dive into is the current bearishness that we're seeing. Just this current sort of downturn that we noticed since yesterday and since the day before that, which sort of came to us at the peak after sort of touching through at the 48k zone, which obviously had its heavy resistance and sent us packing down to the Cme Gap. Just for those of you that don't know about the Cme, Chicago Mercantile Exchange, it's basically the world's largest futures and derivatives trading market for Bitcoin specifically. And in general, gaps tend to happen when the closing price on a Friday and the opening price on the Monday are different with the global market, which means that we would have seen pumps over the weekend that they don't accommodate for. And what they always do is they come back down, they close the gap, and then they move on. This has happened many a time before, as you can see. Let's just paint these in here. We've got a gap over here. We've got, I think we had a gap. Here we go. There was a gap over there. The gap always tends to get closed, which is quite fantastic. Obviously, the only gap that really concerns me, which I have mentioned before, is this gap sitting over here down at 20k. Now, when that's going to be met is anybody's game. It could be, off the back of global recession. It could be off the back of further war, etc., etc., etc. It does always become a possibility, and I do not. I never negate it. I never sort of, just don't. Just move on, because there's a very good chance that the price will want to correct and close that gap. I'm not too sure exactly what the implications of having such a wide gap are and whether or not it does truly need to be closed, but that is just the fact of the matter, and there is a good chance that that might happen in the future. So one of the things that I do want to basically look at today, well, let's just start with this one over here. I'll open this up nicely for us. Here we go. Okay, so this is basically the chart that, for me, I'm using it as sort of a macro outlook, a macro picture. And obviously, considering what we were speaking about now with the gap, we've obviously got this sort of movement that's coming down. Now, I had this wave plugged in since around the end of December, so that's sort of been stable, and that's been where it's at the whole time. I do see it continuing up here as it's proven itself over here and as it is moving in that direction. So yeah, I'm pretty much looking for it to come back up here. We've now found the bottom, which I think is evident and clear. We're now going to seek the top, which is going to potentially further the range, widen the range, and it's going to be really interesting to follow and really interesting to see whether or not it comes back down here to these super low levels. I'm not too sure. At that point, it would effectively be a much wider range. But let's have a look. Let's play it by ear and let's see what happens. I just want to quickly give you guys a bit of a macro outlook in that regard, and then there's another thing I want to show you, which is pretty much super tasty. I think you guys have all heard of the bull market support band a number of times, and we've all heard of it, courtesy of Ben Cowan, obviously the man, the myth, the legend when it comes to technical analysis. So yeah, basically this is the support band. We've now made our way above it, and now what needs to happen is effectively we need to turn this thing, let me just quickly widen the screen here, we need to effectively turn this thing into support ASAP, because if what can happen now is that we go above and we come back, test this, confirm it as support, and upwards is basically going to happen very quickly, and we will probably get the next all-time high off of the bounce. So now we're seeing that it's being it's being blocked here, it's got enough support here at the band. If we can literally continue up and flip this band as the support that it needs to be, we will officially be back into a bull market, and yeah, it'll be only up from there, and we will see the all-time highs very soon. Another interesting thing to look at, of course, is the moving averages. We are impending for a golden cross, which is quite fantastic. Remember, guys, these crosses are basically where the moving averages cross. So that one over there is where the 20 is crossing the 50. Here the 20 is crossing the 100, super bullish. If we get a cross here at the 200, where the 20-day average crosses the 200-day average, and we're getting a bounce confirmation off of the bull market support band, well, I can tell you guys now with absolute certainty it's going to be basically tickets at that point. Let's move into the intraday. Sorry that I'm moving quite quickly through this video. I must be honest, I had a full video recorded, and for some reason the sound did not play ball, so this is me re-recording that video, so I'm just running through it a little bit quicker. we've got another reason why I'm quite bullish here at this point is because there's another thing that adds to the thesis here, and that is over here. I just want to quickly widen this up so everybody can have a look at it. Sorry, I'm working on a very small laptop screen, guys, that is very, very slow as well. So you just got to put up with that, unfortunately. But yeah, basically what we're looking at here is this is technically beautiful. This is a breakout of a trend line, a retest of a trend line. And I mean, if we get a continuation of this going up, yeah, I mean, it doesn't really get more bullish than that. We might also be able to start plotting a new trend line up here, which is over there. Look, again, with these trend lines with so much volatility, it's not always an exact science. There isn't always an exact kiss at the trend lines, but I mean, if we can get something like that going where basically Bitcoin will be pushing up and off of this, then really we are going to be off to the races, and we will probably see 50k in the next couple days, if not the next like week and a bit. So that's pretty much it. In terms of the altcoins, let's quickly just take a look at dominance, see how that's going. Just going to scroll down there. Let's have a look and just see what dominance is doing. It seems to be on its way down. It did hit quite heavy resistance at the top here. Let me just remove the indicators. It's not necessary when looking at dominance. There we go. And as you guys can see, it's dropped quite substantially. You know, this was sort of the support of the Bitcoin dominance, and you can see that it fell through that quite drastically, and it probably will continue to come all the way down here before finding some support potentially. Yeah, it's going to be really interesting to see how that plays out. Another thing we can look at, I won't look at the tether dominance today. I just want to quickly take a quick squiz at the stock market and see how we're doing. Let me move us over into the daily time frame just so we can get a nice macro picture of what's going on. This has been a massive recovery for the stock market, and I can promise you now that this has played a big role in Bitcoin's recovery as well. What I'd be looking for here is for it to come sort of back into this channel and move up and out. Once we get above this zone, the stock market's going to explode. There's just no two ways about that. If we can get that going at the same time as Bitcoin moving up through its own all-time high, well, I can tell you now that all the bears and their naysayers have you know, they're going to have a lot to deal with and a lot of words to chew. So yeah, that's pretty much the situation, my gurus. I will be in the channel as always. If anybody needs me, I'll be there, and I will start charting a bit more, you know, consistently. I'll start charting some of the alts as well. I mean, Luna has been absolutely fantastic to watch. Phantom as well, Polygon, Matic, really beautiful. I think these are massive use cases for these tokens, massive use cases for their blockchains, and I think that it's going to be a super exciting time moving forward. So as always, guys, if you're enjoying these videos, please just help me spread them by commenting and subscribing if you haven't already. I look very forward to making another one, and I will continue to make these ones. So yeah, just please continue supporting the channel like you have been. I really appreciate those who take the time to watch these videos, and if you have any questions, hit me up in the channel. I'll be there.